Fun fact, the first plugin that I ever made with the Juice framework wasn't ever released, and you see it on screen right now. It is called Slew Tape. That was when I still wanted to call my company HDL Audio, because HDL is German for Hab dich lieb, which is I like you a lot. It is a slew limiter and had a lot of different looks. Every time you reopen the interface, it is a new design. You can save the design. If you like one image a lot, then you can already say goodbye because you will never see it again. Everything is random. Yeah, a slew limiter. And when you dial it in, it sounds like this. Now, slew limiters can make the sound a little bit quieter due to filtering out a lot of high frequencies, so I added a make up parameter. I also added a mix parameter so that you can mix the signal with a dry one. As you can hear, that makes the drums sound a little bit more muffled and lo-fi than how they sounded initially in a really cool way. So that's why I called it Slew Tape, because it kind of reminded me of tape, even though there is no wow on Flutter and all that. And there is no plan to release it because honestly, if you wanted a plugin like this, you could also just check out all of the slew limiters by Airwindows, because he has released tons of slew limiters in the past months, and I feel like he has probably put more thought into his slew limiters than what I did in my first ever Juice plugin. But yeah, I had a cool looking interface, so that was something. However, I wanted to talk about something else. As I said before, when you dial in slew, you lose a lot of high end. It's not just losing high end, it's also some sort of distortion that kind of blends itself with the effect, and it makes you wonder what is even the frequency response of this effect at this point. So I load EQ curve analyzer and I see the frequency response is absolutely flat in the phase response. There is no difference in phase when the effect is enabled and disabled, but the line has a different color. When I enable the effect, the green line goes away. The reason for that is the signal just gets quieter. But as you can see, the magnitude response is also flat. How can the magnitude response be flat and the phase response also be not doing anything in an effect? That definitely changes a lot about the spectral distribution of volume. How is that possible? So here's how EQ curve analyzer works. It basically gives you a signal that only consists of a single peak, and you run that through your effect, which in most cases should be an equalizer. And then it comes out of that effect with a different signal, and likely something like this. And this is the impulse response of whatever the EQ settings in your effect were. But what if this effect is a slew limiter? A slew limiter basically just limits how steep the slope of a signal can be. So let's say you are here, and now you want to have a signal that goes here. From 0 to 1, that's a pretty steep slope. So probably the slew limiter kicked in here. So it said, nope, you can only go this far. Okay, cool. Now the next value is 0. Can you go back to 0 with the same slope? Yes, you can, because it's the exact maximum slope that brought you up there. So the resulting impulse response that you get from the slew limiter is basically just the same thing that you had in dry, but quieter. And that explains why we don't see a frequency response in EQ curve analyzer. But that made me wonder, what are the other ways of analyzing a signal for its spectral content when EQ curve analyzer doesn't do the job anymore? So here we have BlueCat audio plugin script with a script that just does nothing but playing random values between -1 and 1 times the amplitude value. So let's dial it in. Okay, that works. So now we could use Signalizer and just look at the spectrum. Now we can clearly see how we are losing energy towards the higher frequencies, and that fits to our acoustic observation. Now let's try something different. Let's load Saturn, and just by itself Saturn already comes with a pretty drastic magnitude and phase response. When we turn off oversampling, it at least loses all of its phase shifts. And if we select the clean tube saturation style, then it also looks a little more sane in the magnitude response. It still has some little boost on the high end and also a little bit of a cut in the low end, but I think that's mostly like a DC offset killer that makes sure that when you are dialing in async distortion, it's alright. Anyway, let's dial in some drive. And we see the magnitude response barely changes, but we have a slight change in the overall volume of the signal. This saturation plugin tries to be volume compensated, so obviously the volume rather goes down than up, even though I turn the drive up. Can appear louder actually to drive a complex signal like this. So this is also another example of an effect that actually does not show what's going on in the spectrum just because you run EQ curve analyzer at it. So yeah, there must be something to spectral energy that can just not be captured in an impulse response. So when I asked some DSP developers about that, I was told saturation, distortion and slew limiting is just not an LTI system, a linear time invariant system, a system that produces an output signal from any input signal to the constraints of linearity and time invariance. The problem here is the linearity. Both distortion and slew limiting is a nonlinear process because it depends on the gain that you go into it with. So then I was told I should look up total harmonic distortion, which is a type of analysis that is more suited for these kind of things. So I read the whole Wikipedia article, and if I understood it right, it works like this. You are playing sine waves at your effect, and then you are measuring the magnitude of the fundamental frequency and the magnitude of all of the other harmonics that emerge from the nonlinear effect. And then you take the ratio between all of the non-fundamental harmonics and the fundamental harmonics. So here the 1 means that this is the first harmonic and the other values 2, 3, 4 mean these are the other harmonics. And there is also some squaring and the root because this is kind of an RMS thingy. Yeah, so that would be the total harmonic distortion analysis. Now, Plugin Doctor has an analysis tool like that, but I don't have Plugin Doctor, so we have to use the Ghetto solution. And the Ghetto solution is that I use my test tone generator that I once wrote, and I just used a slew limiter on that. So here we have a pure sine wave. If we look at it without slew tape, perfect sine wave, even down to minus 180 decibels, because it's not a wavetable, but it just directly synthesizes a sine wave from the sine function. So it's perfect, digitally perfect. Now if I add slew tape to the equation, then I get a lot of harmonics. So this is the fundamental frequency, and finally we get some harmonics that are even below it, and this must be the first harmonic and the second one, and I don't know, something that appears to be side lobes, or maybe it's aliasing, but usually aliasing has a different pattern. But you know, this is slew limiting, so it could be anything, but it would fit to the observation of things getting very noisy. And now I could do this with different frequencies. The aliasing actually sounds pretty cool on this effect. Now I'm wondering how much cleaner it would sound if we oversampled this process. Okay, so here we are in my current plugin template that I'm rewriting from scratch at the moment, and I added the slew limiter code from my old plugin, and I'm using it here in process block. Now in this video I will not explain the whole slew limiter code. I will just say that I go to my producer file now and enable the oversampler in this project. I hope that it's ready. I'm not quite sure if I implemented everything correctly right now, but I guess I did, because I can remember that I did. So yeah, let's reload the file and just hope that it works. All right, everything was successful. So let's now load the plugin and hope that we now have 2x oversampling in it available for us. Okay, so here we have the fancy aliasing pattern again, and now I enable the oversampler. Okay, there is still a lot of aliasing going on. So 2x oversampling is definitely not enough for a 12k sine wave into a slew limiter. I can test higher values now spontaneously, but we could maybe go back and just check if it at least makes a difference on the lower values. Okay. Okay, so here on 1.3k, we can see that all of these things down here are gone when we enable oversampling. So the way the aliasing emerges in a slew limiter seems to be quite different from most other types of saturation. Instead of the harmonics going down from the fundamental frequency and then bouncing back from Nyquist, they just kind of do something else down here. Minus 130 decibels. Oh, that's quite low actually. Kind of weird how it just randomly has this bulk of low end on a quite high decibel value sometimes, but not every time when I end or disable oversampling. At the moment I'm not quite sure if it's a bug in my oversampler or if it has something to do with the slew limiter, but I guess the thing that I wanted to find out, which is if any of these fancy harmonics go away from oversampling, is now answered. Like some of these really low ones go away and then we have slightly less aliasing, but this whole pattern here is just the slew limiter itself, which is quite fancy. So now if we went ahead and implemented total harmonic distortion as an algorithm now, which I will not do, but if we did that, then it would be all of this stuff and also the stuff below versus this single fundamental frequency. So we could see that it has a quite dramatic effect on the spectrum from this analysis, even though EQ curve analyzer does not confirm that there are any changes in the spectrum. Now I'm actually wondering if I should get plugin doctor so I can analyze more plugins like this in the proper way. That would be kind of cool, I guess.